Hello and welcome back. It's day 5. I had a pretty good sleep last night. The first in all my nights of camping so far on this trip. It rained a little bit in the night, but not very much. And it's still almost 100% overcast here, but it's not raining, so I can't complain about that. The lake is pretty flat right now, just a few ripples and small waves. The boaters aren't out yet, so no wake waves to deal with. Little fish are jumping. It's a beautiful morning. The island I was thinking of camping on is private. There's a little cabin on it. I have about 20 or 21 kilometers to paddle to the end of the lake, and after that, about a 7 or 8 kilometer road walk. The paddle might be a bit longer than that actually, because there are lots of little bays and coves that are pretty neat, and it's more enjoyable to kind of do some exploring along the way than just to power ahead. The wind is also not as strong close to shore, and the waves are generally smaller if I can duck behind a point here and there or a little island. The waves do get a little bit weird against the cliffs, especially because they reflect off the shore and create weird interference patterns. But I'm fortunate that there aren't really any waves today, so I don't have to worry about that. And as I get farther down the lake, I'll probably see fewer and fewer boats. Hopefully the wind won't pick up anymore. I have a feeling it might, but so far it's not too bad. Got sorted out this morning, packed up, and hit the water around 8 a.m. And there's a slight westerly breeze blowing. It might pick up as I round this point ahead, but it's not too strong. You can't go very far on this lake without seeing signs of historical logging activity, like this set of old pilings. There are cables and chains on some of the beaches, and there are cut logs at the bottom of the lake. When you look down, the water's so clear you can see dozens of feet down, and you can see that there are cut logs just sitting there waiting to be salvaged. I ran into an old logger the other day, and he was saying that he was salvaging some logs, and they're just beautiful timbers, old firs that they don't decay in the fresh water. They just take on a beautiful silver color. And 100 years ago, they didn't mess around with the crappy logs that people deal with today. Some more old pilings. It's just beautiful, straight-grained, knot-free wood. Just sitting down there waiting for someone to pick it up. The wind is picking up slightly, but it's not too bad. And the clouds are starting to break up, it looks like. There might have been 1% blue sky when I started paddling about an hour and a half ago, and now there's maybe 5%. I just stopped here at this spot on the side of the lake to stretch and probably take a layer off. It's starting to warm up a bit more. It's a nice quiet morning. I'm glad I camped where I did though. The road on this side of the lake comes closer to the shore in this area, and I've been seeing more people with campers and trailers. So I made the right call. I still could have found a spot and had it to myself, but it's just nice to be a bit more remote. I just came ashore to check out this giant stump. These giant alder trees are surrounding the stump, and growing out of the top of it are cedar trees. It's hard to see, but one of them is at least a foot in diameter. It's about 11:30 now. I've been paddling steadily, but not very hard. I've gone about 8.6 kilometers so far. So I still have quite a ways to go on the lake, but I'm enjoying it. It's a beautiful day. The sun is starting to come out now and then. It's still mostly cloudy, but it makes for nice paddling. There were piles of fresh otter poo and older otter poo as well all around the beach here. So I wonder if there's an otter that lives in this stump or nearby. I guess I'll carry on. I was a little bit worried that when I rounded this point, the wind would be a lot stronger, but so far it's not so bad. I think I'm still a little bit sheltered here by this next point, but I wanted to show you this beautiful water. I think I'm paddling over a stream delta, and it's nice and shallow, and the sun is shining and reflecting off the bottom. It's a yellow-green, crystal clear water. It's crazy the steep slopes that they've logged here, looking across the lake. Unfortunately, some of their roads have led to quite noticeable erosion. They didn't do a good job of deactivating them, I guess. or maybe just removing all that vegetation. It was inevitable that the slopes would fail. It's too bad. The railway grade that I was hiking on yesterday and the day before is apparently an old logging railway. Instead of building roads, they used to do a lot of logging by rail, and quite a few of the trails around here are old railway grade. I just let a little bit of air out of my Packraft out here on the water. It's important to pay attention to how firm the tubes are. I inflated it this morning when the air was cooler and it was overcast, and now it's warming up and the sun is shining, so that can really heat up the air inside the tubes and increase the pressure. I don't think it would pop the Packraft in these conditions, but I don't really want to find out either. I've never tested how much air pressure a Packraft will withstand before it fails, but 5 days into a month-long trip isn't the time to be doing that. Maybe when I get this Packraft home, I'll examine it for any signs of weakness, and if I feel like sacrificing it, I might inflate it with a pump that has a pressure gauge and just see how much pressure it can withstand before it pops. It's always a challenge getting in and out of the Packraft when you're trying to keep your feet dry. Sometimes I'm successful and sometimes I'm not. I try to pick the steepest beach possible, or one with some rocks that I can put my feet on. Or sometimes if there's a branch or a tree right beside the water, I can haul myself up on that. I don't mind getting my feet wet, but I'd prefer not to. I think the level of this lake is determined by a weir near where I put in yesterday. And I know that they try to manage the water level in the Cowichan River that flows out of this lake, because it's a really important salmon spawning river. And due to climate change, there hasn't been enough water flowing in the spawning seasons some years. So I think they're talking about raising the weir slightly to retain some of that winter rainfall so that it can be released to give the fish a bit of a break. The wind has picked up just enough to be annoying. It's making a little bit of chop that's splashing slightly when I come down off of a wave. Kind of slaps the front of the Packraft, but it's not too bad. It's in my face, but it's not blowing hard. So I'm still making decent headway and not having to work too hard. I'm really enjoying this shoreline, especially now that I've passed most of the campers and houses. I think I'm approaching the Nixon Creek Forest Service campsite. It's a free campsite. All Forest Service campsites in BC are free, which is pretty cool. And many of them don't get a lot of use. Although with the pandemic, it seems like everyone wants to go camping, and I totally understand why. Well, I'm taking a rest in the lee of this point behind me. The wind has really picked up. There are whitecaps out there, and it's tough going, but fortunately I only have about 3 kilometers left to paddle to the end of the lake. And I'm still feeling pretty good, so I'm gonna power through it. It's 3 p.m. I've got plenty of day left, but I'd like to get this section of the journey over with and carry on. I have a 7-kilometer road walk to the Nitinat River, which will be my next paddling destination. I'm looking forward to that. It's really beautiful. So I'll try to get to the end of this lake. So, slight change of plans. and not due to the wind, although it is pretty windy. As soon as I rounded that point, I started to sink lower and lower in my Packraft, and I realized my seat was deflating. I'm testing out a new ultralight seat model, and I guess I didn't do such a good job on it, so I need to do a little repair. But it's too wet to work on right now. It's too windy to keep paddling without a seat. The paddling posture is just too inefficient when you're sitting down on the Packraft floor going into a strong headwind. So I've landed at this beach. It's probably the worst beach I've passed yet. I'm gonna have to bushwhack from here to the nearest road. Hopefully that won't be too difficult and won't take too long. I'm gonna get my shoes on, get everything packed up, and then I'll be on my way. And hopefully I'll find a road before too long. Okay, I'm all packed up and ready to bushwhack. I think there must have been an old sawmill here, because this beach is just covered in soaking wet, decades-old sawdust. Anything that you put on the ground, it sticks to it, and it's not very nice. Lots of driftwood here. Ooh, huckleberries. Here on the island we have red huckleberries, and they're delicious. I'm gonna carry on though, because I'm not sure how long this is gonna take, and I'm sure I will find more huckleberries. This is Salal. This isn't too bad. It can get so thick that it's basically impossible to walk through. More huckleberries. I loaded satellite imagery for most of my route onto my phone because this is a pretty well-developed area and I didn't think I would be doing this. I didn't download the satellite imagery. So I saw on the Backroads map book layer that there is a road. It's amazing what you find in the bush. Explosives. Probably from when they built a road nearby, maybe. They were doing some blasting, I guess, and maybe this flew through the air and landed here. This is just getting thicker and thicker. We're now into lowdowns and giant sword ferns. It's lovely, but not really what I bargained for. According to the Backroads map book layer, there is a road nearby. The problem with these roads that are marked, you can't really tell if they've been deactivated or not. And vegetation grows so quickly here that sometimes following a deactivated road is worse than just going through the bush, because the first things that grow tend to be alder trees. They grow extremely thick and close together. It's slow going, tromping through alders. This is really beautiful though. Boy, and out of the wind, I'm getting pretty warm already. I put on more layers so that I wouldn't get chewed up by the bush, but I'm paying for it in sweat. Trying not to lose stuff off my pack. There are sections later in the trip where I've planned to bushwhack. I'm curious to see what sort of forests there'll be. I couldn't find any information about the ones I'm thinking of, so I'll be exploring. I am standing on a road right now, according to the map. And this looks worse than the forest I was just walking through. So I will keep going. I don't know if it's worth trying to follow this one. Clearly it is not much better than the forest, or it's actually shorter to head straight south. Maybe I'll try following this road for a little bit. Well, I made it to the actual road. It took about half an hour altogether, maybe a little longer. This road kind of goes all the way around the lake. It's not bad for walking. Haven't seen any vehicles yet. I don't expect a lot of traffic out here, so shouldn't be too dusty. Well, that's a little disappointing. I was trying to delete a waypoint on my GPS app, and I accidentally deleted my whole track for today. Fortunately, it was just paddling, and I know that I had gone about 20.4 kilometers. Started at 8 p.m. and it's, or 8 a.m. sorry, and it's 5 p.m. now. So do the math to figure out what I was averaging, including rests and exploring. Now I'm heading past the end of the lake, since I'm not paddling the last couple kilometers, and I'll have in total about 9K walk to the river. I don't know if I'll get there today. It's a little bit farther than I was anticipating walking, and if I find a nice spot before then, I might just stay, but we'll see. Well, that's fortunate. I just passed the end of the lake, and the road that I'm walking on has a gate across it, so I won't be seeing any traffic for a while anyway. It's nice. It doesn't look like anyone's driven down here in quite a while. There were some animal prints back there. Couldn't tell what they were though. Could be big cat. Could just be someone's dog. They weren't very distinct. But this valley, the Cowichan Valley, has a ton of cougars in it. I've heard that this is where the conservation officers, when they have to relocate one, this is one of the places they take them. If I could see one, that would be amazing. Not too close though. Well, I finished the main part of the road walk. Now I'm turning off onto this little spur road. This is the road. If you can't see it, that's because it's almost entirely overgrown. I'll check it out, see if I can get through here to the river. If not, I'll just have to keep walking along the main road and eventually get to the river, but this doesn't look too bad. It's certainly not as bad as that road from earlier that was completely overgrown. So this is the road. It's getting thicker and thicker with these alder trees and Scotch broom bushes. That's what these things are here, the seed pods. It's not quite as bad as that last forest, but it's pretty bad. Fortunately, I only have 75 meters to the next intersection, so maybe the next road is better. I really don't want to stop and put on my other layers again, but I am getting scratched up. This is the kind of bush where you lose stuff off of your pack. I think I have to put the phone down and concentrate on pushing through this bush, because that's what I'm dealing with here. Well, I just climbed to the top of this little knoll. The direction I want to go is that way. I just have to cross this old cut block that's been replanted now. Those are the trees I'm aiming for, and this is eye level. Just wanted to show you what I'm pushing through. This is what I can see. So that's that knoll I was on 10 or 15 minutes ago. It's about 50 meters away from me. It was really difficult to get here. That mountain's been freshly logged. And I'm now in the mature stand of trees. This was logged, I don't know, 100 years ago or so. And it's much more open on the ground because so little light can penetrate down to here. There's a pile of bear poo. I've seen quite a bit since I started walking, but most of it wasn't as fresh as that. I don't know if you can distinguish the green water from the green vegetation, but that's the Nitinat River down there. And there are some beautiful pools that I can see from up here. I'm still 50 or 100 meters away. So there's definitely water to paddle in the pools, but between the pools is the big question. Is there enough water flowing? Well, what a relief. I made it to the river, and it looks like there might be enough water to paddle. God, it's beautiful. So I just forded the creek over there. Now I need to set up my tent and get that seat fixed so it's ready to go tomorrow. Wish me luck.